Hello, hello. Happy live. Sorry that I'm late. I was on the phone with a couple of lawyers for deals we have closing today, so I apologize for being late. Hope you guys are all amazing and well. It is a little bit colder, obviously, than the past few days. I didn't purposely, can't even really see, but I kind of have a pirate shirt on. Did not put that on for the live. I just happened to have that on today and didn't have time to change. Anyways, hope you guys are amazing. Thank you for those who checked out the $2,500 giveaway last Thursday. It was lovely, and she did know she was nominated, but it was a local dance teacher, and she has a studio here in Barrie and Innisfil. And anyway, super excited that all of her students nominated her, so that was a really cute morning. So thank you again for those who tuned in, and if you guys want to nominate somebody for the next giveaway, you are welcome to do so. I will give all of that info later. So I am going to go through the normal, which is basically we do happy news, we do real estate updates, and we answer your guys' questions and answers. Answer your guys' questions, answer your guys' questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat, okay? So I'm going to start with the first question, which is from John and Claire and Barrie. So John and Claire and Barrie said, we really enjoy decorating and renovating and have flipped in the past, but we don't feel like the market is there enough or just too much competition. What would you suggest we do? Would you still stick to flipping? Thank you, John and Claire, for asking. There is obviously still opportunities to flip. The market is not as crazy as it was, but don't make, or don't be fooled that, a house is listed for 800 and you can get it for 6. That is still not the case. And there's still bidding wars and so forth. It's just not, there's not 30 bidding wars, or there's not, anything like that. And there's a very, low chance something that's listed for 6 is going to go for 900 or 950, which it could have before, but now it might be listed like, 850 and then go for 900, etc. So it's just changed a little bit. So you could still get some deals, but it is still a seller's market. Maybe some changes you could do. Hi, Margie, how are you? I hope you're well. And the puppies. Maybe some changes you could do is, instead of like flipping per se, you could buy one that you Airbnb, or you could get one that you put renters in up and down, or you do something else like that. There's like one for sale in Barrie and it's a commercial property. Maybe you want to do like a little store or some business that you've always wanted or to try out or something like that. I don't know, but there is still the possibility to flip, but you're right, it is harder. And a lot of people watch on TV, so they think like they can be flippers and they think they can put 50,000 in and they think they can get 500,000, etc., which obviously is a lot harder, but it is still possible. I can't tell you where, but we were somewhere this morning, and the person bought it for, again, can't tell you where in case you see it in a new listing of ours, because we are going to list it. They bought it and they put 45,000 into it, and basically they're going to make 400,000 off of it. So it still is out there, but obviously you have to look a bit harder for it now than before. But thank you for asking. Okay, so there was just a 4-year study that they finished in Iceland before I get into all the real estate stuff. So basically, obviously, we have the average 40-hour work week, and so they just tried for 4 years having people on 35-hour work weeks. So they were either off all day Friday, or they worked only 5 or 6 hours a day throughout the week. And they found that people were either the same amount of productivity or more. There was less stress, there was less sick days. What else did they, less burnout and so forth. So now actually they're trying 4 years and doing only 30-hour work weeks. So already 86% of the country is already on 35-hour work weeks. So I don't know if that'll ever happen in Canada, but I just thought that was neat. The next question comes from Damien in Hillsdale. So Damien said, my brother and I own a home together, but he's one of those really paranoid people during the pandemic. He wants to sell, or so he says, but he doesn't seem like he does. He said no inside viewings are possible. Everyone must offer only by the pictures. Do you think it's actually a viable option? Thank you, Damien, for asking. So to be honest, he's eliminating about 90% of the pool. So they've done different studies throughout the pandemic, and it said on average that only 10% will buy a home without seeing it. So, let's just say for every 20 buyers and you're only getting 2 through, that is not the greatest. So I wouldn't suggest it. So if he's not comfortable, I would wait maybe till things are in phase 3 or whatever phase we're going to get to. So maybe do that, or maybe he can go away for, a weekend. He could go away Thursday. The property could be listed. He could come back Sunday or Monday. He could have a full, cleaner go in there on the Sunday or Monday, clean for 4 or 5 hours, and then he might feel a bit better about it. But I don't suggest doing it with no showings just because you're shooting yourself in the foot for a lot of money. So I personally wouldn't do it. But thank you for asking. So there was a lady, obviously, a bunch of people know how to sew. There was this lady that knows how to sew. And basically, she saw on the news a tsunami or what have you that had happened in Sri Lanka. Sorry if I say that wrong. In 2004. And, the lady said that she lost all of her life savings that she had planned on buying a sewing machine with, and she wanted to be her own tailor. And the lady that saw it was like, I just do it for fun as a pastime or what have you. But she couldn't imagine somebody having the whole life savings just to save up for a sewing machine. So she decided basically she'd buy some sewing machines and send it over there after she saw the news. But then she ended up telling local news channel about it. They ended up donating 25. And this was back in 2005. So the tsunami was in 2004. She sent the first set of sewing machines over there in 2005. And since then, she sent over 3,350 sewing machines to different places. So she sends it to places after natural disasters. She has sent it to prisons. She sent it to third world countries and so forth. So I just thought that was neat because obviously thinking outside the box on something that just popped up and something that she takes for granted, like a sewing machine, and so many other people, it's their livelihood. So I thought that was neat. So again, over 3,300 sewing machines she has sent. Hi, Josh, how are you? It says hi, friend, but it says see more. So I have to tap the see more. Oh, thank you. In my pirate shirt. Thanks, Josh. Hope you are well and excited for your upcoming trip. Okay, so next question is from Braden in Wasaga. So Braden wrote in and said, I've saved 5% down for a home, but I'm afraid to buy in case I lose my job or interest rates go up or my girlfriend gets pregnant. And then we have to buy baby things, etc. That I can't afford. What should I do? Braden from Wasaga, thank you for writing in and congrats for saving 5%. I personally would just get into the market. So obviously lots of people have had babies before and they figure it out and people donate to them and like pass it down from different friends and so forth. You could rent out a room. You could rent out 2 rooms. You could, maybe you and your girlfriend both have a car. You could sell a car. You could get a cheaper car. You could go from, let's just say, your rapid bi-weekly payments. You could go to just like one payment so it's less. You can consolidate. You could, there's lots of things you can do. So I personally wouldn't wait because let's just say currently you're approved for $500,000, and then between now and then you spend $30,000 on rent, and then that $500,000 home is now worth $610,000 or $630,000. So you didn't save that amount, and now it's harder to get in, and it's just going to be like a snowball effect, and it's going to be harder and harder to get in. So I personally would just get in and let the equity save for you and the home save for you. So I wouldn't worry about it so much. And again, congrats on saving the 5% already. Oh, I also have red pants on, Josh. So there you go. It's red today. Okay. So one more thing before real estate. So a baby animal. I feel like everybody loves a baby animal. In India, there was a group or a herd, I guess you would call it, of elephants that wandered into a town, and basically everybody in the town kind of shooed them away and so forth. But then they found that a baby elephant had fallen into a 30-foot well. So instead of, they didn't have anything to like pick up the baby elephant, so they had backhoes. And if the baby elephant's over here and the thing and the ground's up here, they like dug like this and eventually made like a ramp for the little baby elephant to walk out. So the baby elephant was saved, and I thought that was cute. So real estate now. Okay, so it's kind of real estate, but not really. Kind of. Sometimes I've told you guys about different places like Greece or so forth, and they're like, hey, you're working from home, you're whatever, come live over here and we'll give you blah, blah discount. So there's 6 places in the States that are doing the same right now. So the 6 places, most of them I've never heard of, to be honest. But the 6 places that are giving incentives if you want to go live there is Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they're giving $10,000. And they spread that out over a year, and they give you like a co-working space to work for free, and they help you find a place to live. Ozarks, Arkansas. I apologize if I'm pronouncing any of these wrong. They also give $10,000, and they give you a bicycle, and they give you a pass to their art galleries. Savannah, Georgia. That's the only one I've heard of out of all of these except the bonus one. They'll give you $2,000 if you live there. Topeka, Kansas. If you rent, they'll give you $10,000, and if you buy there, they will give you $15,000. Hamilton, Ohio, not Hamilton, Ontario. They will give you $300 a month towards your student loan, up to $10,000. And Newton, Iowa, they want new construction there. So if you build something over $180,000, they will give you $10,000. If you build something less than $180,000, they will give you $5,000. And then this one, obviously, I've heard of, but this was just a bonus one, is Alaska. So they don't pay you to move there, but if you live there, they will pay you to stay. So it could be $900 a year, it could be $1,600 a year, depending on how much you make, but they will pay you to stay there, which I thought was interesting. It's hard to see in the little bubbles, but thank you guys for popping in. Okay, so before I do a little more real estate is they did a survey, not a survey, but they checked 75 major cities of, again, people if they want to work from home. And so they looked at the safety of it. They looked at internet connection. They looked at taxes and so forth, your freedom of speech and so forth. And the number one place they said to work from home is Melbourne, Australia. And the number two place is Dubai, just in case you're curious. I know most people kind of want to get back to work and maybe their kids are driving them crazy at home. But just in case you want to work from home forever, those are the places that are supposedly number 1 and 2. Okay, so now I'm getting into more real estate. That was kind of sidetrack stuff, so I apologize, but that's my brain. So you might have heard that like real estate is down in Toronto, but a lot of people don't know the whole picture. So yes, less homes sold in June than sold in May. However, in May there was 11,951, and in June there was 11,106. So yes, it was down, but barely any amount of homes down, like a tiny little percent, like 9.1% or something. But most people are just like, oh, the market's down and it's not crazy anymore, it's crashing, it's whatever. But the average sales price was 28.5% higher than last year's June. So yes, less homes sold. It was only like 850 or so less homes sold, but the average sales price was 28.5% higher than last year. So the market is not crashing, so it's all good. So don't fret about that. Okay. The average home in the GTA, so not downtown Toronto, but GTA surrounding Toronto, 905, etc. Their average home, counting condos, is over $1 million, so $1,089,000 and change, 536 to be exact, but let's just say $1,089,000. And they're actually higher than the average sales price in Toronto. So the average sales price in Toronto in June was $1,079,000 and change, and that was up 5.6 over June of last year. And then the average condo in Toronto is $717 and change. That again was in June. And the average detached home in Toronto, obviously over $1 million, $1,699,000, and that was up 11.5% over last year's June. Last year's June was 1.523. This year is 1.699. The average semi-detached home, so 2 homes together, not 3, not 4, not 5, just 2 side by side, sharing a wall. The average semi-detached home in Toronto is 1.267, and that was actually down 1.9% over last year's June. So that is the only thing that's down. Last year it averaged 1.287, and this year 1.267. So even though it was down, it's kind of weird because that was in Toronto, and then the semi-detached homes in the GTA, so the exact same 2 homes, do you know what I mean, but GTA, outside of Toronto, they're actually up 21.5%. So if you lived in downtown Toronto, you have a semi-detached, on average your home is down 1.9, but if you live outside of GTA, the average semi-detached home is up 21.5%, okay? The average townhome in Toronto is 1.246, which is up 13.8% over last year, which was $1,094,000 in June. And a lot of people like keep asking me, why are so many people moving during the pandemic? Like, it's stay-at-home order, blah, blah, blah. I thought there wasn't open houses allowed, etc. Open houses allowed doesn't mean that you're not allowed to see a property. It just means you can't have like an A-frame sign outside and people driving by go in. So that you're not allowed to do, but you are allowed to book a showing with your agent. You're allowed to call up the listing agent, etc. That has been the whole entire time of the pandemic. There has never been a time that you could not go in a listed home unless the seller said they didn't allow it, which was honestly really rare. Like, very rarely did we ever see that. Sometimes it said with an accepted offer you could go through, and sometimes they just said not at all, but it was super rare and right at the beginning of the pandemic, okay? So a lot of people wanted a detached home during the pandemic. They wanted a bigger home. They wanted a bigger yard. They wanted a pool. They wanted like staycation, in the backyard. They wanted a home office. They wanted a home gym. They wanted somewhere to homeschool the kids, etc. Some people got pregnant during COVID. They need bigger space. Some people split up during COVID because, their spouse blinking or whatever was annoying them. So lots of people and lots of things changed during the pandemic. Some people, for example, I'm in a condo, they didn't like the idea of the ventilation and they thought of germs and so forth. So some people were moving out of condos because that was scaring them during the pandemic. So that is some things, some major reasons. Obviously, the low interest rates, etc., has contributed huge to that as well. In the 1950s, and again, I'm random, so they just said in the 1950s, the average person only used 200 square feet of living space, and now the average person uses 1,000 square feet of living space. It's just a random fact for you. There is a new lot for sale. It's 19 acres, and it is waterfront. And it's only $99,000, so it's been getting lots of traffic and lots of views. And everybody's like, what is the catch to it? So there's two catches. So one, it is in a place called Shrewsbury, which I had never even heard of. It is between London and Detroit. It does have waterfront views, that is true. However, it is currently submersed under the water. So the entire lot, the entire acreage is underwater. And the listing agent said that you have to be creative. So they're like, you can park your houseboat there. You can farm fish there. You could park other people's boats there and charge them. You could build a house on stilts. I don't know. So if you want to own this waterfront property with waterfront view for $99,000, just be prepared that you are currently going to be underwater. It is on Lake Erie, but that's the price that what you can get. If you can afford $99,000, that's what you're going to get for your waterfront, okay? So sorry to disappoint anybody who thought it was more. A lot of people obviously have either heard of what happened in the condo in Miami or seen pictures or videos or what have you, or both. And so a lot of people have been asking, are they going to do stricter rules in Canada? Are they going to do stricter rules in the States, etc.? So that has been, not under investigation, but people are looking into it. So there's never been anything major like that that's happened in Canada. There's been minor things like, let's just say, a balcony or windows, etc. There's been issues with. In 2001 in Ottawa, the condo corporation was granted $1.6 million because they had some water issues and it was eroding part of the building. But that's like the biggest kind of thing that's happened in Canada. So nothing like that. And then, so they're in condos, there's something called the reserve fund. So basically the reserve fund says, okay, we have X amount of dollars. Let's just say it's $1 million or $3 million or whatever. And then they say the life expectancy of everything. So they'll say the roof we think is going to last 35 years. The furnace we think is going to last this long, or the boiler or whatever. The windows we think are going to last this long. And these are the amounts of money that we have, allotted for it. We're going to charge each person $30 a month for the windows, blah, blah, for the driveway, and it basically breaks everything down. So that is done every single year. But the problem with it is they don't physically go to the property to check everything, and they don't have to except every 6 years, okay? And then all the people on the condo board usually live in the condo, and they usually are unpaid. I would say 99% of the time they're unpaid. And they could have no background in building and developments at all, which is obviously an issue. If somebody's like, hey, should we fix this? And they're like, no, it's fine. And meanwhile, they've never even put a shed together. So that is a problem. In Australia, they're actually having the government step in, and buildings over a certain age, they're saying, we don't care that you have your condo corporation to look after it. We're going to step in to say if we think it's to code. So we don't care if you guys think it's to code and whatever, because obviously you don't have any history in building and so forth. So people are taking it as an example, as tragic as it was, to make sure that their buildings are safe for their, community and their country and so forth. Okay. So yes, people are changing stuff because of what happened there. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, so lots of people have been moving out of Ontario. So most people, to be honest, that get priced out of Ontario move to like the Maritimes. So they're like, they're in Newfoundland, New Brunswick, PEI, etc., Nova Scotia and so forth. But with oil prices and so forth, Calgary has been becoming a more hotspot for people to go as well. So the most expensive places, obviously, we know in Canada are Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. But now they're saying undervalued places that didn't have the pandemic, pandemic skyrocket was or is Calgary, Winnipeg, and Edmonton. So a lot of people are taking advantage of the market out there. So right now, for example, in Calgary, the average sales price is $441,900, which you guys know is much cheaper than Barrie, which is still not a major city, and we're still an hour from Toronto. So people are taking advantage of that. Obviously, Toronto's over $1 million, and Vancouver is 1.172, their average price. Sorry, I was just seeing who was on here. And so anyways, that's basically Calgary. And then actually Calgary, even though it's cheaper to live, they actually have the average sales price of income. So dual family, let's just say husband and wife, or husband, wife and wife, etc. The average dual income there is the highest in Canada. So they average $99,583 there, even though their homes are so much cheaper. And then Toronto, which obviously has such crazy prices, you know, double Calgary, their dual income is only $78,000 and change. And then in Vancouver, their average income is only $72,000 and change. That they have the highest, sales price, but yet they have a lower income. And then St. John's, their average dual income is $63,000 and change. So it doesn't like equate. It's not like the people in Toronto are making, $400,000 a year, and that's why their homes are more expensive. They're not making more. They just have more expensive homes. So it's overvalued homes. One thing I did not know is there's no provincial sales tax in Alberta, which I did not know that before. And in Alberta, the average person spends 24% of what they make a year on their mortgage. In Vancouver, they spend 36% of what they make on their mortgage. In Edmonton, 11%. And in Calgary, 13%. Okay, next question comes from Michelle in Barrie. So Michelle said, would you suggest anyone to be an investor if they can, or is it something that some people are just more cut out for than others? Thank you, Michelle, for asking. I definitely think some people are more cut out for it than others. And the only reason I say that is if you stress out easily, I do not suggest it. So if, for example, you have a rental and they break a window, or they damage something, or maybe you Airbnb it and they wreck your dining table, or they put your grandma's heirloom or whatever outside because whatever reason, and you're all distraught, I do not suggest you being an investor, because things do come up. So if there's big issues that come up in your life and you're like, oh yeah, call the plumber or call the electrician or call my insurance company or whatever, and you can just dial somebody's number and not get stressed about it, I think you would make a great investor. If you stress out about it and it gives you anxiety and it gives you heart palpitations and what have you, I do not suggest it, because things do happen and you're going to give yourself gray hairs and stress your family out and stress yourself out and so forth. So just depends. But yes, I would say a certain type of person, which is a person that does not worry or get frazzled easily, would make the best investor. So thank you for asking, Michelle. So I'm back to like happy news or random news, I might say. So I've not been married, but there was just somebody who celebrated 75 years of marriage, which is crazy. Obviously, you can guess his age. So he's 95. And that is Jimmy Carter, so former president. And I did not know that he had won a Nobel Peace Prize, but he did. So he just celebrated 75 years with his wife, Rosalind. And not only is he 95, but he's still building homes for Habitat for Humanity. He just opened a health center in a city by him. And he did a whole solar farm that does half of a town just from this one solar farm. So I love that he's 95 and he's not like, oh, my life's over and blah, blah. He's still kicking butt every day. So I thought it was cute. The next question comes from Penminder in Bradford. So Penminder said, I currently can afford to buy in Barrie or Orillia, but I work in Bradford and sometimes in the city. Should I buy up there and commute, or save some more and buy in Bradford down the road? Thank you, Penminder, for asking. To be honest, I personally would just buy up in Barrie or Orillia first, because kind of like I told that other person before, I forget where they were, in Wasaga or something. So let's just say, you can afford $800,000 right now, And then again, in a year or two, now you have saved some more money. Now you can afford 830 or 850 or what have you. But now those homes, they've gone up more than that, right? So the amount of immigration that's coming to Canada every single year, we had lack of inventory for like the past 10 years. It's not like, oh, just because of COVID we had lack of inventory. We've had lack of inventory for a long time. So most people, I would say 99%, cannot save as fast as the homes go up. So it's not like, oh, I can save 100 grand in a year and the home only went up 30 grand a year. They might save 30, which they probably won't, but then the home goes up way more. So I personally would just get in. Even if it's not in Bradford, you could sell your home in Barrie or Orillia later, or you could refinance it, etc. So I would just buy right now where you can afford and drive. So thank you for asking. Okay. Another random thing for you is there's a new machine, and so I never knew that there's over 11 million burn victims a year, like serious burns. So there's some new machine, and they can take the size of like a quarter or what have you, and they can stretch it to, I call it a manhole, you know, the sewer grate things. So they can stretch it that big now. It's still under trial, but they're obviously trying it on the burn victims. So far they can stretch it 100 times its size, and they're hoping to stretch it 500 times its size. So that is neat, so they can help people with scars and burns, etc. And next question comes from Becky in Orillia. So Becky in Orillia said, my budget is limited, but I'm torn with what to do. I could buy in town, you know, something built in the 70s, detached, or I could buy in town newer, but it would be a townhome, or somewhere 45-ish minutes away, all renovated and detached, all for the same price. What should I do? Becky, thank you for asking. To be honest, everybody's different. I personally wouldn't want the in-town townhome and it's all done, because then I have nothing to do to it, so I would be bored. But some people love that, and it's turnkey, nothing to do. They get in there, and let's just say, you know, they go for a trip and they do this, and they're not, you know, having to deal with renovations or, you know, old windows, etc. I personally would probably like the older one in town, and then I could pick away at it. Like flooring comes on sale, I could get flooring. There's a kitchen sale at IKEA, and they give me 4 appliances for free or what have you, and I would just pick away at it. Personally, I wouldn't want the 45-minute one, because I've lived twice out of town, half hour and 40 minutes, and personally the drive was too long for me. But I don't work regular 9 to 5 hours, so maybe that works for you. Maybe you say, I like the out-of-town one, I like the drive back, it's peaceful. Maybe you have a bunch of dogs, or you want to have chickens or something like that, I don't know. So maybe the out-of-town works for you, but that's personally just what I would do. But they all sound like good options depending on what you're looking for in your lifestyle and so forth, because obviously they all have very different outcomes of when you get home from your day of work. But thank you for asking. So there was one other thing. So there was a car accident basically between a Yukon like SUV and the other one, I don't even know what it is, a Buick LeSabre or whatever that is. And they hit, and there was a hole in the window, and the dog flew out it, and the dog went away. And anyways, they found the dog 2 days later. He was half border collie, half red heeler, and a farmer found him, and he was herding his sheep, which the owner, she was like super grateful to get him back, and she said it makes sense, and she should have thought of that in the first place to go look for him, because even when she used to take him to the dog park, he used to always try and herd all the people into one area at the dog park. So there is a happy puppy and happy owner back with the owner, or I guess I said that owner and owner, I said owner twice, but anyways, that is all from me. I hope you guys go after all of your dreams. I hope you have an amazing evening, and stay true to yourself and your goals. Have a great one.